Let's say one day you wake up and you have an idea for a story. You decide to borrow the monsters from Hell's Paradise and shove them into a much less profound and dark version of Fire Punch's story. I'm quite positive in saying that that is probably how Wild Strawberry was born. Tokyo has been invaded by plants. Man-eating plants. Maybe not in a literal sense. Think The Last of Us. Now replace the cordyceps spores with flowers that infect human beings with pollen. Once you're infected, you will ultimately bloom and become a sort of a zombie flower thing. I really wouldn't know how to describe them better, honestly. If you're lucky enough to afford it though, a vaccine has been developed. The megacity of Tokyo has been basically divided into areas, sections, with the division being based on how wealthy their inhabitants are. The city center, for example, has become the sort of slums of the Tokyo area, offering the lowest rent prices, which means that the area is mostly inhabited by those who find themselves struggling economically, and thus can't really afford getting vaccine shots. Starting to read this manga, you will quite often find the word blooming in it. It indicates the final stage of the pollen infection, after which the infected individual turns into a sort of a man-eating dandelion. An individual that blooms is quite a gruesome and potentially dangerous occurrence, especially for those around it. Yet it quite rarely makes news, only getting covered by the media when it happens in wealthier areas, as it is such a rare occurrence considering that people living in those areas are usually wealthy enough to afford vaccines. Somebody blooming in the city center though is, well, basically an everyday thing. This epidemic left untreated basically turns people into walking ticking bombs that can explode at any moment. As I previously said, those who show even the slightest symptom of contamination don't really have any chance of reverting the infection. Thus, the flower incinerators became a thing. Places where still conscious human beings get incinerated alive to prevent the spread of the epidemic. Kingo and Kayano are siblings, or at least that's how they describe their relationship, because they aren't actually blood related. Quite unremarkable teenagers, except maybe for the fact that Kayano is infected. Although she didn't yet bloom and doesn't really pose a threat to anybody. Actually, her infection managed to save them both one day, when years prior they've been adopted by a secretly bloomed couple that planned to, well, have them for dinner. The day since which she lives her life hiding, as her appearance would, immediately get her neutralized. Kingo, on the other hand, works as an eradicator. They help to, regain the city that's been seized by the epidemic, by flowers, by nature. One day during one of his shifts, he finds out through the news that, none else than his sister has finally bloomed. Now, ready for the most original insipid you've ever seen in a manga? Great. Kingo is quite forcibly made to cosplay a piece of Swiss cheese while trying to save Kayano from the Kasutai. She gets moderately angry, brings down half of the city, and gives her life to bring Kingo back from the dead. But guess? She's still alive inside of him. Metaphorically, yes, but also physically. And, come closer. He now possesses the same powers, and he will use them in order to fight the other infected. Yeah. These powers awaken when he's brought to the incinerator, where he's about to meet the same fate of all the other infected. And, having now lost all hope and wanting nothing more than to die, having seen his sister getting killed, supposedly, he's not really against the idea. But a guard blooms with the best timing possible, a lot of people die, but Kingo's power awakens and he manages to save the only person that actually did not want him dead. This guy. A scientist that was deprived of the opportunity to study his rare condition. Together, they decide to reach the ground zeros of where the infection started, which in this case is the Tokyo Tower. That is actually quite cool, I gotta be honest. In order to find a way, to save his sister and possibly end the infection, thanks to the fact that he's immune and his sister is also immune, the fuck knows. Although this manga will obviously not win any award for the most original plot ever conceived. I gotta be honest with you, I actually had quite a lot of fun reading this first volume. So much so, in fact, that the day it came out, I went and bought the second one, which I'm actually quite curious to read. And the thing is, other than being quite an entertaining story, I also think that the art is quite well worth of notice. Making some research about the author, Ire Yonemoto, I was quite surprised to find out that Wild Strawberry is their first work. And let's be completely honest, this looks quite amazing for being a first work. The art style gave me really strong Fire Punch vibes, and not only the art style, but that is the farthest from being a bad thing. You really have to take inspiration from an author. I feel like, well, Tatsuki Fujimoto is probably your best choice. Now, although I definitely, as I already stated in many other videos of mine, although I definitely prefer Fujimoto's, kind of messier art style in works like Chainsaw Man or his one-shots like Goodbye Eddie or Look Back, I still quite enjoyed his art in Fire Punch, although I feel like it was a bit less characteristic and recognizable of Tatsuki Fujimoto as an art style. Oh, and shall we take a look at the cover arts? This first volume has probably one of the most beautiful cover arts I've seen in a while on a manga volume. This is stunning, okay? Now, I can't exactly say the same about the second volume, but still. I feel like I would genuinely love this manga if it had some more depth, especially regarding, the characters' actions and motives. But I obviously do realize that this manga has just started and that with time, potentially, it could become something a lot better than it is now. Something a lot more interesting, something a lot more profound. We'll see. I'm definitely going to be, keeping up with it. Now, thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. That really means a lot to me. Other than that, thank you very much again, and goodbye.